We're here today to talk about the top 10 reasons to upgrade to VPI EMPOWER 911. Your presenters today are myself, Greg Cummings, Solutions Consultant here with VPI. I've been with the organization for a little over 5 years and have an extensive background from training and development and professional services, and also our solutions consulting, dealing with our public safety customers to deploy and optimize their solutions to best meet their needs. We've also got Eddie Williams with us, who will be co-presenting with me. He's from Replay Systems. Eddie Williams is a ENP and is the Public Safety Market Development Manager for Replay. Eddie handles all of the safety agency training needs, including initial training as well as follow-up webinar sessions throughout the year. Prior to joining Replay in 2007, Eddie was the Bureau Chief of Communications at, and I can't even say that, Alachua County Sheriff's Office, and he served 24 years in the Public Safety Communications at the Sheriff's Office in Gainesville Police Department before they consolidated in early 2000. Eddie is also an active member of APCO and NENA and served as the APCO Florida Chapter President from 2005 to 2007. He currently serves as a Chapter Commercial Advisory Member, and Eddie holds a master's degree in Public Administration from the University of Florida. So we're really excited to have Eddie with us, and he's going to be sharing a lot of great content with the group today. A little bit about VPI and Replay. It's important to understand where the background is for both of our organizations to really ensure that we have the trust and understanding of the organizations that our customers and potential customers are going to be working with. Both of our organizations are 100% U.S.-based with their R&D and production, and we serve some of the continent's largest PSAPs for over the past 15 years. Primary focus from the public safety market is police, sheriff, and fire departments, armed forces, emergency services, and multiple government agencies. APCO and NENA Next Gen Partner Program, members, NG911 ICE-8 Planning Committee member, and then also we've won numerous awards over the past years, for the APCO Hot Product of the Year in 2012 and 2011, and we are GSA approved. So you're getting a partnership with organizations that have a long-standing in the public safety sector with a focus on ensuring we're meeting the appropriate standards, we're keeping up with the guidelines that are in place, and heading in the right direction. Some of our customer successes are listed here, and this is kind of a testament to the work that we do and the service we provide. Really, when it comes down to it, it's about service and how we work with our clients to maintain that level of customer satisfaction that you would expect in any organization. As you can see here, working with, from the police side, Orlando Police, Sheriff, LA County Sheriff is the big one, California Highway Patrol, Southwest Airlines, Norfolk Southern, Protection One, based in Florida as well. So we really work with a large number of customers to really highlight the solutions that we provide and the service we offer our customers to ensure that their business is operating as it needs to. The webinar is going to focus on top 10 reasons to upgrade to VPI EMPOWER, and we're going to start stepping through these top 10 reasons. The first one is Next Gen 911. Are you ready? Are your vendors ready and the people you work with? VPI's recording technologies have been developed on those principles of having an open, service-oriented architecture from the ground up in 1994. We started out as a compliance-based recording platform working in the public safety sector, and have continued to expand and keep that at the forefront of our thinking throughout our developmental process and growth of our organization. We know that we needed to be first in mandatory requirements for the NENA I3 specifications, and the systems must be capable of recording analog, TDM, voice over IP, radio, wireless calls, SIP-based media, including SMS, text messaging, email, and instant messaging, streaming video images into standard file formats, all in the same system, So that's where you can see this second kind of pin on the pin board. We need to have open standards. We need to be able to actively record at all the different media types that are going to be available. The ability to collect data and attributes from disparate systems like your CAD systems, like your case processing systems, ESINet, your different QA applications if you're using, Priority Dispatch or Aqua. The collection of data from those sources and bringing it in and appending it to the recordings that are part of the VPI solution is really critical to ensuring we can create that complete customer experience, right, a complete caller experience. How do we record and track transferred calls, right? That, again, is important and critical. Security and authentication of all voice and data communication, right? Having the proper security, the proper, AES encryption, making sure that the solution is meeting your security requirements. All of these things are part of that best practice and reasons why you want to ensure that your vendor and your solutions are providing these different areas so you can deploy the best solution possible. We have a broad range of powerful integrations when we start talking about integrations. We'll get into a little bit of detail on this in a second. Really, at the end of the day, is how do we start to leverage additional information outside of just looking at, from a call recording perspective. The console and communications for Intrado, Cassidian, Avtech, Avaya, Cisco. We've been a long-time Avaya partner. We work closely with Avtech and Intrado. P25 and trunked radios from Motorola and Harris. Quality assurance system implementations for Priority Dispatch. Right, that's important for us to be able to connect up to these systems. And then we've got our overlay CAD integrations listed down at the bottom, and this is just a handful of the ones that we currently integrate with. Integraph, Tiburon, PSSI. When we start to make those connections and not only record the radio traffic, record the calls that are being taken, but then also start to bring in data from our CAD sources and data from quality assurance systems, that's when we are able to truly leverage the value of the VPI EMPOWER suite. Taking it a little bit further, we want to kind of paint a picture, and I want to kind of tell a story around this. When we're talking about not only from a recording perspective, what value is there and how can we really start to understand the data that's being presented in a unified platform by performing CAD integrations to enhance the searching and the QA process within your organization. It's going to make life a lot easier for those folks that are actively working within the suite to ensure that they're pulling the records that they need to for fulfilling public records requests or doing quality analysis to provide feedback to the staff. It is something that we do on a regular basis. We're just now in the process of completing one for Hamilton County. For doing this type of CAD integration, where we want to collect valuable data from that CAD system and append it to the recorded interactions. When we talk about that data, what kind of data is relevant? We want to take incident ID. We want to take the location of the incident, the status, the type, the severity, notes. These fields can be defined during an implementation phase to ensure that we're collecting the appropriate data for your organization. And what we start to see when we're looking at it from the VPI perspective is we have a recorded interaction, and when I select that interaction, and I might have searched on it based on an incident ID or an incident type, I can now load that up into my VPI media player, and now I'm able to look at the incident ID, or the CAD information that was appended. When you start to apply this to workflow and process to say, show me all of my incident type of, we had an overdose, and I want to see those for the last 30 days. Now I've got a select set of records where we pulled that information from a CAD system and we've appended to the recordings. Now I'm looking at a specific set of data. I can start to do some root cause analysis. I can review those a little bit. I could schedule those to be evaluated for quality assurance purposes. If I'm doing my EMD reviews, maybe I flag those ones as ones that I want to review. Having that information enhances your ability to search for recorded interactions, as well as provides you additional methods to continue on in the workflow, provided you want to do some more quality reviews and analysis with it. Completing these CAD integrations really helps to improve the usability of the VPI EMPOWER suite. Another thing that's part of the implementation with the VPI program is the ability to do web-based and mobile live monitoring and recall. So again, just to kind of recap the few points that I've gone through so far, the first one is looking at all the open standards, the NINA integration, being able to structure the solution in such a way that's going to fit in your environment and give you that comfort and trust level. Secondarily is how do we do integrations to different platforms to bring in data? And then a third point, right, which we're talking here, is the ability to perform web-based and mobile live monitoring and instant recall. Within the VPI EMPOWER suite, we make it very easy for supervisors, frontline dispatchers, or call takers, anyone in the organization who needs to have the ability to do live monitoring from their particular position to launch into our web-based live monitoring and recall window, which is something I'm displaying here, that will show me all of the current active channels. I can see channels that are currently in status. I can simply select a channel and have that play back. And I can also create different groups that will allow me to selectively position channels or reps into different groups, and I can easily monitor a particular group or a particular set of channels. This is a live monitoring view. Right below that, we needed to have an easy-to-use interface, and this is something we've incorporated into our product, right, for many years and continue to do, is ease of use, right, the ability to perform live monitoring and then also have a recall component that will allow me to quickly recall calls within a defined interval and immediately play them back and also flag them and comment on them. I don't actually have to go through my standard search and discovery process to find a particular record if I am live monitoring. We want you to be able to live monitor, and then provided that call is finished, right, and once it's done, it drops down into our recall area. You select the call from a recall area. You can play that recording back, or you could flag it, comment on it for different follow-up purposes once it's been completed. Now, while you're in a live monitoring state, you also have the ability to go back in time. That call holds in a buffer, and you're able to quickly recall that while that live call is still in process, giving you a seamless web-based live monitoring application with built-in instant recall feature functionality. Something new that we've recently brought on is what we refer to as our mobile live monitoring and instant recall. For those of you out there that are Apple iPhone users or Windows phone users, we have applications that can be deployed on both of those platforms. The mobile live monitoring is a great tool. We talked about this recently in an internal meeting that we had of providing out the ability for your supervisors, your fire chiefs, anyone, right, who might be out in the field, or anyone who's going to be wandering around or maybe moving around the center a little bit more, to have the ability at the touch of their fingertips to actually use a mobile live monitoring platform. And that's really important. It functions very similarly to the way the web-based does, but now you've got that in the palm of your hand. You have the ability to create and review the different groups you've created or selected. We've got the live listening capability and simple touch screen. Obviously, these are touch screen devices. We can perform the recall components from the mobile device as well. And you can even flag and comment on the recorded, right, interactions right directly from within the mobile live monitoring. This is set up and configured in such a way that if you're on scene, right, at maybe a command post and you're out in the field, you want to be able to have your mobile live monitoring device actively able to access the channels that are being recorded and then be able to comment, notate on those, and keep up to date on what's happening. So this is great for the field. This is great for anyone out of the office. Even in the office, folks, or in the center, even folks that are maybe walking the floor and don't want to be tied to their workstation to do the live monitoring. You can have this up and running. You've got maybe an earpiece in, Bluetooth earpiece. You're able to listen. You can put scan mode in where you can actually just scan through the channels on a predefined interval and always keep up to date and current on the activity that's coming across in your environment. Web-based live monitoring, mobile live monitoring, two very important components, right? And it kind of rounds out that number 3 reason, right, for upgrading to VPI EMPOWER. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Eddie Williams. Eddie, thank you so much, and I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Greg. So I'm going to pick up the supervisory productivity tools, and of course, really nice big one that you just saw with the mobile-based app. The ability for a supervisor to no longer have to be tethered to the console, or a trainer for that matter, when you're training personnel and it's time to start distancing yourself a little bit from them. So that is an excellent supervisory tool right there. Going further, the system has integrated within it, and you're going to hear me use that word a lot, integrated, because that is one of the big strengths of the VPI product. You do not have to go off to another application to do the things that we're talking about. It's all in your web-based application. But it has the ability to do redaction. And you can see an example of that, not only redacting on the audio, but the right-hand window where it says blocked screen capture, if you're using screen capture, you can redact and block that out. So in addition, like I said, to the redaction, it will also allow you to comment on that redaction as to why you're making the redaction. And in fact, the system has the ability to put comments with the call and attach files to the call. So as far as the attachments go, you have the ability, let's say that the audio call that you have brought up, that you also have, say, a traffic camera that captured a picture or a video of the accident that's being reported. You can attach that to the call. You want to attach a copy of the report, a copy of the CAD sheets, which might come in handy from a QA standpoint, copy of the ticket. Whatever is applicable to that call that you want to attach to it, you can. Also with the comments, when I go to put a comment on the call, I can get very specific and put the comment on the call down to the second. So if I want to make a note of exactly when something was said, when did they report that the suspect had a weapon? When did the fire unit report all clear, or some other benchmark along those lines? So you can get very specific with the comments. You can set up automated alerts to give you automatically give you feedback on what's going on. And that brings us, continuing on to incident recreation. Often, when you're looking for calls, it's not going to be a single call. Multiple people calling in for the same reason, the same incident. Take a traffic accident as an example, number of people calling in, and then you have radio traffic that's associated with that. In the application, it's very easy to take all of these different transactions that have occurred, bring them together into one incident. When I bring them into that incident, again, I can redact on them, I can put comments. You can see the little cartoon bubble which denotes where a comment has been placed on the call, attachments, and now I can also export this in what we call pack and go. And that, not only am I exporting the audio of the call, the screen capture if that is applicable, all of the comments, all of the attachments, and I'm also giving the person who is getting this and can play it some options as to how they want to view it. So these are just very powerful tools, and again, it's all integrated within the one application. Now, stepping forward into QA, and again, it's integrated. You do not have to leave the application to evaluate a call, and in fact, you can have the system set up with business rules where it will automatically pull calls for you. You saw earlier where Greg was showing you the data that can be captured from the screens or from the CAD system. So business rules can be written if one of the criteria for your QA happens to be, that you want to QA a certain type of call. I know back when I did real work and actually was inside a comm center, take a routine burglary. I probably, over the course of my career, took a couple of hundred of those. And I'm sure the same thing is applicable to most of your centers. So that may be a call that I don't need to QA automatically just because of the type of call it is. Armed robbery, however, not as prevalent. Chest pains, if it's a fire rescue type call, don't get those as often, and they're very critical calls. So it may be that you want to QA those calls on a regular basis, if not all of those types of calls. So that can be automated. In fact, you can automate by priority, type, or you can just randomly pick calls. When you're doing it randomly, whoops, I'm sorry, I moved ahead a little too fast. Sorry, back up. When I'm doing random calls, that also brings into play objectivity. Now, it's not you're going out and finding a call to evaluate, but it's being randomly picked, so that when you get that response back of, well, you just picked my bad call, and anybody who's done QA has heard that phrase before. It's not that you're picking the calls, it's being picked randomly, and that gives you a good snapshot of what is going on. Having said that, you can, if you find a call that you need to evaluate from your search screen, you just make one click and you can start the evaluation process from your search screen as well. And it'll open up the form, it will open up any audio and screen recording that's associated with it, and you can begin evaluating right there. Along the same lines, it will start to give you feedback. The system can be set up to have tickers and dashboards to give feedback. And in the lower part of the screen here, you'll see an example of comments that can be put into the evaluation. So the evaluator can comment on what they're grading the person on, give them some feedback as to why they got the grade they want, that they're seeing. The person who is being evaluated can enter their comments into the system, agree, disagree, ask questions, all, again, integrated into one system. As Greg mentioned before, VPI and Priority Dispatch worked on and have achieved an integration to where if you are a Priority Dispatch customer and use Aqua, you can go into your Aqua program and pull the audio recording over or the screen capture over to have while you're evaluating the call in your Aqua program. Another powerful integration, another powerful tool. Now, whenever you're doing QA and you do determine that something has to be done, you've determined that a person's having an issue or whatever, you need to do something about it. And again, integrated right into the system is coaching. The system has the ability to create lessons in the system and then assign those lessons out to your staff members individually or as a group. When you do that, integrated with the QA, you can see here as an example, I can actually, when I'm creating the form, we can, for each individual question, we can add an action to that question so that, as an example, if they miss this question, it's going to automatically send them a coaching based on what that question is evaluating. That's one way of automating the coaching. Another way is when you're ready to exit the evaluation process, it will give you the evaluator the option of sending a coaching lesson to that person. So if the evaluator has noticed something in particular, they can, before they even exit the evaluation, they can send that person a coaching. And keep in mind, this does not have to be all negative, right? Let's say that they're getting ready to exit the evaluation and the person has scored 100%. They could then go and assign the coaching module to that person that is really just telling them that they've done a good job. For a lot of our customers, we've developed a coaching module that's really just a big smiley face with a headset on, and it just says great job. And kind of corny, but it works. The individuals, your agents, your dispatchers, telecommunicators, again, we can have tickers and scorecards that will prompt them that they have coaching assignments. And when they go into view those coaching assignments, they open it up, can do it. You as managers or supervisors will get reports back as to when they opened it, how long they had it open for. Again, just great tools from a supervisory standpoint and great feedback for the dispatchers themselves. Mentioned the dashboards. Here's an example of a dashboard from Bell County, Texas, a VPI customer, that gives you a quick snapshot of what's going on within the center. Another powerful tool for a supervisor. Don't actually have to go in. You can look at the big picture. Now, something that's relatively new, but is, again, another powerful tool that's coming along is speech analytics. You've probably encountered speech analytics if you've watched the news. If you watch the news on Election Day, and they'll tell you how different things are trending on Twitter and that sort of stuff. They're using speech analytics, basically. And with speech analytics, you have very powerful tools where you can search for different words and phrases. So here's an example where someone is searching for on scene or on the scene. You can check, using this, you can check for adherence to policy. Let's say that you have a standard answering phrase, and you want to make sure that everybody's using that answering phrase when they answer the 911 phones or the admin phones. You simply go in and do a search on the answering phrase to see if it's being used properly and often. You can check for trends. So, you can look for trends within what is being done. And the way speech analytics is working is it's taking the speech and it's making transcripts of it. And then you can search off of those transcripts. So you can see as an example here under the word clouds that it is putting in bolder print and different colors when a term is being used more often. So you get a feel of the relative use of different terms, and also you can see how they are trending, so that maybe you're seeing a trend where there's a lot more people saying gang activity than is the normal baseline. Okay, maybe there's something that's occurred here that is that we need to look into, not just the what but the why. So as an example of that, there we go. Whoops, went too far. Sorry, clicking too many times. There we go. An example of that happened in Pennsylvania, where they were having a series of porch fires. Porches catching on fire. So they used the speech analytics, and they could associate the terms porch and fire, and found a number of addresses that were having similar type of scenarios. And this led to them being able to charge the appropriate suspects. They could find trends, find patterns, and all of that came through the use of speech analytics. So it's a very powerful tool. Finally, last point, sort of to summarize a little bit, as we mentioned before, open architecture. You do not have, when the system is put in, it doesn't come with a secret key or things along those lines. All of this hardware can be bought right off the shelf. As I've mentioned several times by now, and you're probably sick of hearing it, it is a single, integrated, unified, web-based platform. You do not have to go to another application to do these various things that we've talked about. Very easy to use. I like to say it's obviously easy to use if I can train people on it. But I have had instances where, for whatever reason, system is put into place and training is delayed for one reason or another. I had one person in particular who, right after the system was put in place, they had to leave on emergency and had a death in the family. And so it was about 2 weeks before we were able to actually sit down together and train on it. Well, they had gone in and started playing with it, and it was one of the easiest training sessions I ever had because they were able to figure out most of it just because it's intuitive and easy to use. Automated workflow with QA, as I mentioned. Business rules can be set up to pull calls randomly, pull calls based on the type of call it is, if you have that feature, or pull the calls randomly and queue them up for evaluation. And you can also put in different criteria that you want. For instance, maybe you don't want any calls that are under a minute long, because most often those are transfers or just an informational type of call. So it's one of those filters that you can use to automate the calls. Flexible and scalable licensing. I mentioned the open architecture. Here's an example of that. If you have a NAS device, a network storage device, system can connect to it and can store to it. You don't have to come back to Replay or VPI and buy a specialized storage device. Talking about recording licenses, if you've had a system or you have a system and now you realize, oh, you know, we need to add this phone or we need to add this position. An additional recording license can be bought one at a time if that's what you need to be. You don't have to buy them in blocks of 4 or 8 or whatever it happens to be. I've seen several different ways. All the data, when you upgrade your system, a VPI system, your data can be upgraded with it. You don't have to leave it behind. Generally, if we do replace another type of system, a competitive type system, we at Replay will leave that older system in place so that you can access those calls until your policy period has run out as for how long you keep the call. But in the VoicePrint system, if you're upgrading versions of VoicePrint, that data will follow along, and it can be updated with your system. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Greg to wrap things up, and then we'll get into the Q&A portion.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eddie. That was a lot of great information, and I hope everyone got that as well. Just to wrap up, right, last couple slides here, we want to invite everyone to our public safety best practice forums that we're going to be participating throughout the year in the various locations that are listed. We'll be in New York, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Denver, San Francisco, and Seattle, Washington. Depending on which event you can make it out to, you'll either see myself at some of them, Eddie, some other folks from Replay, and some other folks from VPI. We'd love to get some personal one-on-one time with you, talk to you about different ways we can help the organization and potentially move things forward. So we've got a number of events planned where these are actual events we're going to be at. And then continuing on in our webcast series, you will see subsequent invites come out where we are going to dig deeper into many of the areas we talked about, from integration perspective of getting into other systems and collecting valuable data, to refining quality process, outlining and defining quality and coaching and how those play together, and the overall scope of the application. So we've got a number of additional webcasts that are going to be coming up. We encourage everyone to attend and continue to learn and take from these what we can. Last slide here, right? Again, we just want to thank you for attending. Taking time out of your day, it means a lot to us. We know it's valuable, so you making the time to be a part of this and go through this with us is greatly appreciated. You can contact myself or Eddie Williams using the information that's listed, and also just to let everyone know, for those of you that have attended and we have a registered email address, we're going to be providing you with a $5 Starbucks gift card and also a book on the high-performing PSAP, which is something we can make available to you as well, provided we have an address. So if you'd like that copy of the book, we'll reach out to you, provide you with the Starbucks gift card, and then also look to get some more information if you want us to send you one of the books that we have. So with that, we will open it up for questions. I'm going to open up my Q&A window and see if we have any questions. Please use the controls that are part of the WebEx to submit your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. Eddie and myself are going to be available here until our time is up, or until we don't think we have any more questions. But again, we want to thank everyone for attending, and let's send those questions in.
I want to also mention, while we're waiting for the questions, Replay is going to be joining VPI at the Navigator Conference, a National NINA Conference, and APCO International. So if you're attending any of those conferences, please come by and see us, and we'll be happy to chat with you. We can show you more in-depth demos if you'd like that, or like in the case of Navigator, after the show is over, we can perhaps run into the Magic Kingdom together because it's down at Disney World. So we'll be at all three of those different forums.
Okay, and it looks like we have a question here. A couple of questions come in. Eddie, I'll take the first one from Joel. The first one from Joel is, are you working with APCO Med's ProQA? Yes, we are working on integration with the ProQA platform to be able to tie back the data into the VPI product for additional information, right, and associated information with the recording, but also to create that media link back from the VPI recording and populate that media link into the ProQA so we can make that proper association. So yes, that is another application we're working with. And then the next question that came in is text to 911 integrated? And that is part of, right, those NG 911 standards that we are certifying on. Those standards have been changing, right, and we know that they got some deadlines coming up. But yes, the text to 911 is integrated and will be available, right, as part of the recording platform and bringing that information in. Another question that came through is, do we currently work with Zetron? Yes, it's another platform that we perform an integration with. Eddie, do you have any more information on that, or would you like to maybe take that one about the Zetron platform?
No, and actually, I'm not seeing the questions. I don't know why. I did want to mention, though, if you don't mind, going back to the previous question, in regards to the QA and evaluation forms. The other thing that the system is able to do quite easily, in our case, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but in Replay's case, we will help you build the forms in the system, and we can take your form. You don't have to accept someone else's form. We take your form and build it into the system, and it's very easy to do. And we also teach you how to do it in case you want to build more forms. And you're not limited on how many forms you can have either. So just something I wanted to share along with the previous question. That's
great. Another question that came through says that we mentioned the transcript is created for the speech analytics component, and are those transcripts viewable as well? Yes, the transcripts are viewable. So once we do the speech-to-text processing, and we're using an LVCSR engine, large vocabulary engine, for the processing of the speech and converting that into a text file. And then based on that text file, we do keyword spotting, and categorization can be done, right, to probably categorize calls that have been processed through the speech engine. That transcript is viewable and searchable at the same time. So you could search through that transcript, read that entire transcript back. Obviously, accuracy is a big thing. Quality of the audio is a big thing in the speech environment. But yes, transcripts are created. You're able to view those transcripts. And then based off of those transcripts, we do the keyword spotting and also categorization to show you that trending data like Eddie was talking about, creating those word clouds, identifying, right, hot topics, key issues that you want to understand, right? And that's kind of a lot of the reasons why folks are utilizing speech is tell me what's going on, show me what I don't know, but also let me search based on key phrases, key words, and terms that I might want to look up and reference.
And regarding the trending that I mentioned too, the system, as it's collecting transcripts, it's collecting words over time, will form sort of a baseline of the usage of those terms, and that's how it can then tell you how it's trending, whether terms are trending up or down or in that manner. I've also had previously been asked, and I'll share this as well, because there's some concerns about the record and how long do I have to keep it. I know standards are probably being written as we speak as to how long different records should be kept. And in different places, there are different standards. I know in Florida, 911 calls have to be kept for a minimum of 30 days. but I don't think it's ever been addressed, probably because they haven't had to address it yet, as to how long they're going to have to keep text, or in this case, transcripts. But regardless of how long it has to be kept, whatever the policy is or whatever the requirement is by the state or whomever, the system has the ability, you can set what they call class of service. And so you can tell the system how long you want audio, screen recording, the transcripts to be kept within the system, and then have it purged out when your policy says it should be purged out. My old center, we kept them a year, and then auto purged it out.
Very good. Another couple of questions. One is, do you integrate with New World CAD? So to answer that is yes, we can integrate with virtually any CAD system that is out in the marketplace. Our integration to a CAD is done through a database connection to a set of tables in a database, without getting too technical, where we are able to pull the information in and associate that with the recordings that are being made in our application. So provided we can get at the data right from the CAD system, and we've got multiple methods by which we can do that, we can perform that integration. The first slide, or in the beginning of the presentation, we had just listed a handful of the CAD systems that we integrate with, but that scope continues to expand as we work with additional customers and partners and grow that scope. So we're not limited to just specific CAD systems. We take any new customer that has a CAD system, and we talk through the technical requirements to integrate with that, and we're able to complete that implementation. Another question that came in, kind of a two-parter from one person, was, do you have any customers in Wisconsin? And yes, we do have customers in Wisconsin. If you want to reach out to myself or Don or Eddie Williams, we can definitely provide you some more information on customers in your area. And then a follow-up was, just to clarify, yes, we are a recording system. We're not a PSAP. So VPI is a recording solution, right? It's a solution that provides call recording, quality assurance, and coaching to optimize that solution and kind of get you a unified platform for where that information is stored. We are not a public safety agency. Another question that we had, and Eddie, maybe you can take this one. Question came in is, can this QA/coaching system save labor hours?
Thank you very much for asking that, because I meant to bring that up while I was presenting. We actually had a customer who did a cost-benefit analysis when they were looking at purchasing the QA system in particular, and they found that in a lot of cases they could save 50% of the time it took them to find and identify the calls to be evaluated, which saved them quite a number of man hours. Now, they were a big agency, and they had, I think, 4 persons who were dedicated to doing QA, and after they went through their analysis, they realized that they could do a lot more QA or do it with fewer people. But it is very cost beneficial, and it is a huge time saver when you can automate the queuing up of the calls. And also, just from a general search standpoint, searching for calls, or for QAs for that matter, for evaluations, is very easy. All of the searches within the system operate in basically the same way. You can really easily narrow down your time parameters, and then all of the searches have what we call hyper filters, where you literally go in and can filter the different things that you're looking for very quickly, very easily on a drop-down list, so that you can pick from and find what you're looking for very quickly.
All right, thank you. Another question that came in was, with your mobile live monitoring product, you mentioned Apple and Windows. Any Android? And that's a great question. Currently, we are supporting Apple and Windows, so the iOS devices and Windows platform. We are currently still in development of an Android-supported app for the mobile live monitoring, It's going to be available hopefully by Q4 of this year, and we are looking to complete and round out that mobile live monitoring platform. We know there are a lot of Android users out there that is still in development, and when it is made available, we'll be advising our user base and potential customer base as well. So right now it's iOS or Apple and Windows, and soon to be Android supported for mobile live monitoring. Another question we had that came in was, with recreating an incident in our VPI Pack and Go, can the receiver separate the waves if they need to hear one piece of the incident more closely? It's a great question. Currently, the Pack and Go file will take the audio out in the format that it was recorded in. So generally, that's a single wave file with the audio traffic overlap, so it's non-separated or speaker separated. If we are doing recording where we are doing speaker separated recording, then we would be able to adjust the Pack and Go, or have the export come out with both pieces. So we'll follow up internally with our product management team and see where that is potentially from the roadmap perspective. It really comes down to the environment that we're recording in and seeing if we can get that speaker separation, and then how that will translate out in the Pack and Go file so you can see that clear separation. With our speech analytics components, if we're doing the speaker separation there and we've got both callers separated out, you're able to see those two components from the speech analytics perspective. And Eddie, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. When you do export it in the Pack and Go, the person who is opening it up is going to see that timeline view that we showed on a number of the slides. So they can see the different calls, how they relate to each other in time, and they will have some controls available to them. The first being they can change the view. There's 3 different views. There's the standard view, which is going to show everything in real time and play everything in real time. There's a compact view, so that will take out all of the space between calls and cut everything down. Comes in very handy. Say I had one customer who they had to provide 2 hours of radio traffic on a certain channel. So we were able to just do a quick search, save them all together, and then you could literally do the compact view to take out all the dead space in between. And then there's the sequential view, because in some cases, calls may be overlapping. If there's multiple calls being received at one time, or you've got radio and phone going on at the same time, if you play it in the standard view, it's going to play in real time, so they're going to talk over the top of each other. But in the sequential list view, it will play the calls one at a time without talking over the top of each other. Also, they would have the ability to click on a call, any call on the timeline that is visible, and it will give them the options. They cannot change any comments that you have saved with it, but it does allow them some controls to where they can click on a point in time and say play from here, and it'll jump right to that point. And so they do have some control rather than have to just listen to the whole thing from start to finish without any means of speeding up or jumping around.
That's great. Thank you, Eddie, for adding that. That was perfect. Okay. It looks like that was the last question on the list that I have. With that, if anyone does have any additional questions they want to send in, we'll be on for another couple minutes. And again, thank you everyone for attending. We really have enjoyed spending the time with you guys today. A lot of great questions. Thank you very much for the engagement. And we're looking forward to spending some time with each of you in the future, either in person or in additional webcast sessions we're going to be hosting.